Hello, BookTube. I'm here with Paperback Parade. It's the brainchild of Brandy at the Book Eclectic. She, like many of us, really like vintage paperbacks, and specifically vintage science fiction paperbacks, the artwork on it. And that's what this sort of series will celebrate. And she's gotten a number of booktubers together to do it under the hashtag Paperback Parade. And I first said yes to that I would participate, even though at that time I didn't have too many vintage paperbacks, or hardly any at all. But since then, I've been gifted a number of them. Uh, Clifford Simak and A.E. Van Vogt for the most part. And recently I've been separating my Simak and Van Vogt and putting up for my science fiction quickies. And there was one that I pulled out that I thought this would be good for it, but it was something nagging in the back of my brain that this looked familiar. Now, there was no artist attributed to this, and well, I'll break the suspense. It's from Digit Books, paperbacks, and this is from 1961. It's The Weapon Makers by A.E. Van Vogt. And this is a little rough. You can see flaking there, little wear around the edges and yellow pages. But as I say, it's 1961. Now, there's no artist attributed there. So I started looking around, and I found what was nagging in my brain was an ace double. The same cover was used for John Brunner's The Skynappers. Then this is 1960. See, it's the same cover. Which I thought was quite interesting. Now, who is this artist? Because I really, really like it. Well, a little more digging around, and it's great now that you can find this stuff online. Years ago, it was so hard because Ace never attributed their artists, or rarely attributed who the artist was on their books. Now, the artist was Ed Valigursky. Now, I had not heard of him until I started looking for this, but I have seen his covers. Now, before I get to some sort of biographical information, there was something else that I already knew, like I said there, that I found out now that the Weapon Makers and the Skynappers by Brunner was the same cover. There was something else I'd already known. It's going back to Simak, Clifford Simak. Now, his favorite book of mine is City. And my favorite cover for this is the 1958 Ace. Well, it's an Ace double, I believe, yeah. And there it is. And that's Ed Valigursky as well. But there's also later the Digit books, A.E. Van Vogt's Mission to the Stars. Same cover, a little cropped, a little closer up, because you see his shoulders are there. And his shoulders cut off there a little bit. But I found this quite fascinating. And so now I know because I always liked the shape of the robot's head, the facial features, if you call it that, of Jenkins on there. And we'll come back to that in a little bit. I'll now pop in, I've been able to glean some biographical information about Ed, he was born Edward Ignatius Valigursky on October 16th, 1926 in Pennsylvania. I found 2 or 3 different towns where he was supposed to have been born, so I'll just say Pennsylvania. His parents were 2 immigrant parents who were from Nova Ljubovna, which was Austria-Hungary at the time in the 1800s, or the early 20th century, I believe, when they came over. But it's today in northern Slovakia. He went to school locally around the area in Pennsylvania there. And in 1945, he joined the Navy, the last year of the war. He was in until 1948, and then he Part of, I think it was the GI Bill, that you could get funding for going to university. So he attended the Art Institute of Pittsburgh. While there, as a student, he began to do some artwork for Ziff Davis Publishing. They publish Amazing Stories was their big sort of flagship, I guess, magazine. And in 1953, he had graduated, and he was basically hired by them as assistant art director, and he relocated with them to New York City. And throughout the 50s, he did covers for Ballantine, Bantam, Lippincott, Life, Ace Publishing, and he did approximately over 100 covers for Ace Publishing. And as I say, they did not really attribute their artists. And he also did about 49, 50 covers for Amazing Stories, over 30 for fantastic science fiction. And he was also, like, he used a few variations of his name when it was sort of attributed, the artwork was attributed to him. Edward Valigursky, William Rembach for some reason, and then just plain Valigursky at times. Now, as we go into the 1960s, he just continued with covers and interior artwork for magazines, Life magazine, and he also did he illustrated trading cards for Topps. And during the 70s, he was asked by NASA to illustrate the space program in Popular Mechanics magazines. He did covers as well as some of the interior artwork for that. And around like he just continued, doing this sort of on a, for publications and so forth. And he retired in the early 1990s and died September 7th, 2009, at the age of 82 in Florida. And I found a obituary about him, and they had, like, from as far as I could tell, some facts incorrect, and I looked at some of the comments, and people did correct them, but it wasn't corrected in the obituary. But his daughter-in-law, they had a quote from his daughter-in-law that said, he was always very humble and never bragged about his accomplishments of his art career. And that made him so endearing because he was actually so gifted and honored. And let's just show you a few others before we get to another quote that I was going to do. Now, I mentioned the facial features of Jenkins on this cover. Let's look at a few other robots on his covers. Now, there is fantastic science fiction, and you see the robot in the back there with a hammer. I can't get it any bigger than that, but you see, it's a similar shape to Jenkins. There's a few other robots, but not all have that shape, and we'll come to those in a moment. There's another one in the background. See, the head shape and faces is similar. I really like that shape. Here's one that's very close, and that's from Amazing Science Fiction as well. And just a better close-up there. But as you see, the body, like, there's really no body. It's just like a spine there, which is kind of interesting. And here's another one from Robert Moore Williams' The Conquest of the Sea Space. Again, the same body shape with the spine, and the face again is a bit similar. It looks like he's wearing a helmet this time. And the Challenging Worlds by Kenneth Bulmer, a big robot there. But again, the same body structure with the spine. But yeah, look at the face and the head. Very similar. And we've already seen the Skynappers. Here's now our 13th Immortal by Robert Silverberg. It'd be nice to be able to put these up on the screen. But as you can see, yeah, the shape, sometimes with the antenna. Now, there's a few other robots that he did, which are similar within themselves as well. Here's the Cosmic Computer by H. Beam Piper, an ace double. Really cool cover. The robot still doesn't have much of a body, but you see the round sort of almost iris face, iris-like face. And here's another one from Amazing Stories, another colossal robot, but you see the round sort of almost iris or something that's strange on the face. And here's another one from Amazing, but again, see the way the face is. See, those are very similar. And I believe there's one more. Yes, Amazing, again, another colossal robot. He does have a body, but very, very spindly legs. But again, that round face, which is really cool. But that's not where it ends. Going back to the Jenkins look of the robot, as if we refresh our memory there, see the shape of the face and head. Now, I found a couple aliens that he did. This is fantastic science fiction. And look at the alien's shape of the face. Very similar. And there's that's as close up as I can of it. And there's one more. Another Amazing. See the see the little alien, the green alien in the corner there with antenna. I'll try to make it bigger. There we go. See? And I found that very, very interesting. And I'd love to actually now collect this guy, because I'd not seen him before, and I really, really like his art. I think it's because there's these deep connections now with Clifford Simak and A.E. Van Vogt. So that just tugs at me. Now let's look at a few more that I actually have, that I found out that I actually, other books that I have physically. Here's an ace double, Our Man in Space by Bruce W. Ronald. I don't remember this one at all, but there we go. There's the ace double. That's Valigursky as well, Ed Valigursky. And another A.E. Van Vogt. The Pawns of Null A. Another Van Vogt, The Wizard of Lynn. And last, Murray Leinster, The World is Taboo. And they seem to have swapped and used, covers for different ones, like for foreign editions, like non-US editions. And I found that some of them are even like non-English language ones as well. Now, I'm not sure if I actually showed this, because I showed the city. See, my memory is going, but we'll just do that again. City, 1960, that's 1958. And then at some point, the British edition of Mission to the Stars, which is the same robot. And that's A.E. Van Vogt. And as I say, I found out, I gleaned this information. There was, in 2012, I think it was, I came across a reference that there was somebody working on a book about his art, but it's, as far as I can tell, it's never surfaced. But some of the information I got, and that's why I said that it's conflicting a little bit with some others that I found, but is the science fiction encyclopedia database online. I didn't dig out my physical copy because I used the one online. It's a very short entry for Valigursky, and it's got the names of John Gustafson, Peter Nichols, David Langford, and Gary Westfall. And I really think highly of Peter Nichols. He might have actually did the original article for the very first edition of it, so that all these other have expanded. Gary Westfall, a very good scholar in science fiction, a bit pedantic at times, but anyway, it ends with a quote that I have to read, and I find it really strange, and I want to know whether you agree with this. I don't think I agree with this. And the quote is, overall, Valigursky cannot be regarded as a great SF artist, but for certain readers, his distinctive style will always be fondly associated with simple pleasures of reading unambitious, unpretentious space adventures. End quote. Well, I don't know. Like, when you compare him to some other artists, like I think he fits right in there with a lot of them, but is a different style, you know. And yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. I think he was a great SF artist from what I can see. He does talk about that he doesn't do humans that well. Well, yes and no. They do look sometimes a little strange, but let's look at the world of Null A here. Like I think he looks fine, and the woman in the background, maybe her legs are a little out of proportion, but yeah, yeah, so maybe I can say that for humans, but for spaceships, one thing that I did notice was that he has these needlepoint points for the spaceships, what I really like, and he's on covers like these Philip K. Dick covers, Robert Heinlein, Isaac Asimov. It just all the above, basically, all the big ones and minor ones for the 1950s. But yeah, there is my Paperback Parade video, inaugural edition. And it's on Edward Ignatius Valigursky. Now, don't say that too quickly because you'll get tongue-tied. I get tongue-tied even saying it slow. But he's a brand new artist to me, not from seeing, but by name, to be able to name him. And I like him. What do you think? And what do you think of these quotes, especially the science fiction encyclopedia quote saying that he can't be he's not a great SF artist? Do you agree from the ones that you've seen, or you can look up other ones, other covers by him? There's even prints apparently for sale online. I'll see you next time, BookTube.